people here from Australia, we got people here from New York and California, all over the place. For some people now it's become an annual tradition. They don't necessarily go to the Derby, but they come here.
Homecoming at Old Friends Farm lets fans meet some of their favorite horses of yesteryear, score some high-end horse racing memorabilia, and get a glimpse of what's still to come for this retirement farm. This year, streets on the farm were dedicated to 3 influential members of the horse racing community: Bob Newmeyer, Jay Privman, and Dave Litfin.
Unfortunately, we're losing a lot of the great riders and a lot of the really important people in racing, because these are the people who are responsible for telling the stories of these great horses, and without those stories, nobody would care much.
Stories like the one which unfolded over 1.25 miles at Churchill Downs Saturday, ending in victory for Mage, but in defeat for farm owner Michael Blowen.
I'm glad he won, but I didn't bet him, so I lost money on the Derby, but it doesn't really matter because the Derby transcends all that.
While Blowen says the week ended brightly with the Run for the Roses, he acknowledged that the build-up to this year's Derby included some dark days for this sport. 7 horses died on Derby week, while several others scratched.
They really do need some regulation, and they need to have really strict enforcement.
Blowen says the goal of this day and their farm as a whole is not to ignore those problems with horse racing, but to shine a light on these animals and the positives of the sport.
It's really unfortunate that this happened, especially to the horses, and people should be held accountable for that. And I think if people realize how much joy there is in this sport, they wouldn't do things like that.
In Georgetown, Jeremy Toms, WKYT.